I am Dario Lujumaikuni. Welcome to News Wrap Up on Network TV. Good evening, Uncle Musti.
Good evening, Dario.
Yeah, the office of the Vice President, Yemi Osibajo, has dismissed report of bigotry against Muslims by releasing a video showing all Muslims appointees working for him. Where you can recall that Farouk Perogi, a professor of journalism in the US, had accused Osibajo of for his hate for Muslims. Well, this was following Osibajo's declaration of his presidential ambition on Monday morning. He accused the vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria of religious bigotry, stressing that Osibajo was on a RCCG vacation mission. I quote. Well, I'll what you have to say about that. I don't know if you saw the video. Of course, it's out. It's everywhere.
I read Professor Parogi's first accusation. Then the kind of a rebuttal by the office of the vice president with the video, and again Professor Parogi reacting this morning again to that particular video. So at this point, all I could say is, certain things, even though as a public officer, as a public servant, it's better the office of the president should disregard some of that accusation, because the more they try to reply, the more Professor Perogi or the vice president detractors trying to read meaning. So it's better. I know quite okay that we're in a political era whereby every aspiring politician is careful with his utterances or what they do, action, including their action. So, but when it comes to an issue as serious as this, it's better the vice president himself should just disregard the accusation, because right now the vice president doesn't have the exclusive right to employ his aides. Some of the aides are employed by the office of the president and being deployed down to office of the vice president to work. So that is how it is. So if he's been accused, to me, he should better take up the protest to the right doorstep, which is the office of the president. Office of the president should come out with a statement
to debunk
the accusation of the vice president employing or favoring member of his church only. It's not something that only the vice president should be left to do the defense. No, the office of the president employ most of the aides and deploy some of them down to the office of the vice president. Take for instance this media aide, Laulo Akande, is employed by the Mr. President, although based on the commendation of the So, what I'm saying is that we're in a serious political era. We are going to expect certain principals, certain persons aspiring for political office to be maligned. People will drag their reputation. All these things, it will happen, including the vice president. I believe that he is expecting that. Professor Parogi in the US has been shunning out these accusations, and some of us will say that, okay, if he's accusing the vice president of bigotry, he should come out with something different. That if he think that the vice president is not good enough, he should tell us his own candidate. Because to me, I don't believe, although he said it this morning, that look, if the vice president could act like this, there is a consequences when he become a president. Definitely other groups will kick against what the president will be doing. He specifically said that, look, I as a professor, I took it upon myself to accuse Buhari of doing similar thing by favoring North with political with military position. So he said so that his fear is because of the future of what will happen to the unity of Nigeria. He said it, but this is political era. Whether we like it or not, the appointments were done. There's nothing anyone can do about it. It's better the office of the president should come out and issue a press statement regarding this.
And of course, I think we should expect more allegations.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
You see, the thing is that if you are privy to what happens at the political terrain, take for instance, Rotimi Chibikamechi. There is this accusation that, look, at a time, some families are grieving over the Abuja-Kaduna train, where some Nigerians have been abducted. Up till now, nothing has been. They believe that nothing has been done because they have not been freed from the captive. So, and they are now accusing him that, look, you are not supposed to embark on any political jamboree at the moment. These are things that it will continue to happen here and there every day.
And we're in a very sensitive period.
And at a very sensitive period. So they are forgetting that, look, everything is being planned and allocated timetable by INEC. Whether we like it or not, whether there is a tragedy or not, we must play based on the schedule released by INEC. If you are saying Rotimi Amechi should not contest or vie for a political office because of the abduction, then it means 4 years will just pass through and he will not contest, because up to now we don't know when those abducted will be freed. So it seems as if some Nigerians they are not in tune with this development. Everything regarding the political development in Nigeria at a given time has a stipulated timetable, whether we like it or not. So we should expect a lot of campaign of calumny. This time around, we are talking about a professor from the US, a Nigerian, an American Nigerian. He's based in US. We are talking about him. Definitely, we will see more accusation against the person of the vice president. Now, some people are seeing him as being a betrayer to his benefactor, who appointed him in the first place to become the Attorney General and the Commissioner of Justice in Lagos before he could build his political career, and then still nominated him to be vice president to Muhammadu Buhari. So, but somewhere, somehow, somebody must assist someone to rise in life. You understand? So people will say your destiny helper or something like that must be somebody. It must be somebody that will help someone. It's not spirit that will come from nowhere and help somebody. It's somebody. God will use somebody definitely to help somebody. So the role Tinubu played is acknowledged by the vice president. There's no way that the vice president will not acknowledge it. I believe that the vice president himself was under pressure from his own supporters to say, look, you are more qualified for this thing. If there's anybody that is more qualified, it's you. Vie for this. And he now decides to signify his interest. It means he will sluggish out with his benefactor. It doesn't mean anything. This is how politicians play the game. If you allow your chances to just go like that, you will be nowhere. Take for instance this guy in Edo, Obaseki. He fought a serious political battle with his benefactor, Adam Soshomole, that made him governor in the first place. He added this, but at the end of the day, when he decided to say, look, I'm not going to go out just like that, he stood his ground and he fought it, and he now secured his second tenure. That is how it is.
Well, the General Overseer of the Dunamis International Gospel Center, Pastor Paul Enenche, has reviewed what he knows about the death of gospel singer Osinachi. Before her death, last Friday at the age of 42, was a member of that very, very church in Abuja. There had been calls in the past few days for Pastor Enenche to speak on the death of the singer, the lead singer in his church. He finally revealed what he knew about her before she passed away. I don't know if you saw the video. He said he doesn't know that she was going through physical abuse. That before her death, her and her husband came to meet him, and she told him about chest pain and respiratory and
how he assisted her to-
how he assisted her and all. She came with her husband, and
Yeah.
but how is he supposed to know that she was physically abused? Because she, he also said that a music producer knew what was happening. Some people in the choir knew what was happening. A sister knew what was happening. So many people knew what was happening, but the pastor didn't know because she always begged them not to let the cat out of the bag.
Mario, let me tell you this. It's just that when there is such a, although we are sorry for this is an avoidable death. But when emotions is still very high now.
Yeah.
That is why you could see people, everyone coming out with his own narrative, with his own this thing to say, look, some other persons. What if the pastor even know? What would he do? Is he gonna pull her away from her husband's house to say, look, come out from it? You understand? Don't forget that, look, before now, so many people have been accusing to say, look, some women respect their pastors than their husband. So what are we even saying here? There's nothing that Pastor Enenche will do. Highest he will advise her, and she has a right to keep to the advice or do what she like. He said, look, she came with her husband, approached him, and he prayed for her over her health challenges,
and even assisted
and
her
how
in
they
the
went
medication.
medical processes, how the scan was done and everything was done based on his own friends within that medical field. They were reporting to him that look like this, and then when they eventually referred her for more scan, and he now referred her to say, look, go and meet social person at the national hospital, and he put a call across too. You understand? So it shows that he has assisted. The other part that people are talking about is that look, he knew that she was going through physical battery, or he did not do anything. Is he her father? Even if he's her father in the spiritual world, he's not her father. Even if they are biological father, are they gonna pull her away from her
Even
house?
a biological family,
They
didn't
know
to do anything. They knew what was
they
happening.
knew what she was going through, but they could not do anything. So
Didn't do anything.
the aspect of accusing the pastors to say, look, Pastor Enenche, you know about this, you know about that, you know explanation this, he owed nobody any explanation. In fact, the extent that he has done is he did that because he's a man of God. Otherwise, if it's an ordinary person, he will not say anything. If you mention his name, you can go to court. So Nigerians, they should learn to stick by. They shouldn't step beyond their bound. You understand? When you're accusing somebody, an individual person that doesn't have control over person, yes, she's a member of his church. Yes, she was a lead singer in the church. Yes, she was a kind of a family friend to them. But it doesn't mean anything. Even your biological father cannot. We are here in this part of the world whereby the father will say, look, don't marry this person. The woman will still go on her way and say, look, I must marry him, and they will marry. So what would they do? So nobody should accuse the pastor. The pastor has done his own. So we wish, just that it's unfortunate that the woman is no more alive, and accusation here and there that the husband battered her like this, like that. But we shouldn't forget that based on the pastor's explanation, she had underlying health challenges.
But he also said that he didn't know if it's as a result of physical abuse that she had been passing through.
That one is left for autopsy.
Yes,
it's left for autopsy. When the police now could decide to conduct the autopsy, then they will determine the cause of her death. So right now the husband is still in the detention. So police has further investigation to conduct.
And looking at this incident that just happened, it has made a lot of women come out and say that I'm no longer
definitely to have a ripple effect really, outside there to change the mental. Already you have the feminists, you know, this
to give them more wings.
It gives them more wing, more. It buttresses what they have been saying all along. Say, look, these are people that they have been championing. Some of them will say, look, men are trashy. You are not supposed to marry. Have your any man give birth to your baby and just live your life independently out of any man's life.
You can be something without a man.
So you can be something without a man. That being with a man, after all, that man will limitate your growth, will limit your growth, will become a hindrance to your life. So why can't you just live your life? Living with him, he will dictate that the course you are making, where you are going, what are you doing. You are not supposed to do this. You are not supposed to do that. These are some of those things that already the campaign is already outside. So, and with this killing for over 3 days or 4 days now, if you go to social media, there are a lot of messages regarding men beating their wife,
yes,
women going through this, that, how men are bad, how man. In fact, some of them have even come out categorically to demonize men. So we are going to deal with a very serious, that is after effect of this
very death. And I also think the negative part of it, the effect is more than the positive.
It's going to be more than, no, we are not going to see everything is going to be about the negativity now. You understand? We are talking about a generation of women, young women, that they have this wrong perception about marriage. They have this wrong perception about marriage. Then you now, something like this now
to buttress.
It now buttress their position. So I believe that, look, a lot of mothers, a lot of fathers, a lot of churches, a lot of mosques, they have preachers, they have a lot to do to bring back normalcy within the institution of marriage, institution of man and woman relationship. They have a lot. And as men, we have a lot of confidence building to build that confidence in women. You understand? So before, some men, they have this mentality, this obsessive mentality. So I regard some of these men as dream killers. A man will marry a woman, provided a woman is making a living on her own, making income, having a good income. That man will be out of envy. So, some men envy their wives. Envy. He will now start devising means to make sure that he cripple that woman, so that woman will perpetually be looking on to him financially. So that is when he will become happy that, look, she's my wife. Some of them they have forgotten that, look, that woman, she's helping you, she's a helper, she's helping you, assisting you, even if she's paying the bills. Although, to me, that is my understanding, a woman is not meant to be paying bills. If she's paying the bills, she's supporting you, and you should appreciate it. Commend her and appreciate it. Some men, they don't like it. They won't like their wife to assist them, and they will do it in a way that what she's doing and earning living, earning income, they will make sure that they will make her, they will incapacitate her. So some of them are like that. To me, if you ask me, I would say, look, the first phase that led to this woman's death is out of envy from her husband. Because I listened to one producer, one artist that was saying he had there's a show that she's supposed to perform. The husband stopped her, something like that. These are kind of, to me, I'm not trying to like categorical about it, but I'm sensing some element of a dream killer in the man. So probably he must have seen it that, look, if this woman continues in her music career, she will become boom and become wild. We have different ways of thinking as men. Just say, look, if she become very known, become very famous, she won't respect me again. She would eventually leave me. Mentality, our mentality.
And that's low self-esteem.
Yeah. So may our soul rest in peace.
Yeah, I pray. And in as much as there are a lot of marriages that are not really working well, there are also a lot of marriages that are really working fine. No, there are a lot of men that are not beating their wives. There are a lot of men
if you ask me,
respecting their wives.
To take the ratio, you will discover that this is just, if you have like 100 men, you discover that 1 or 2 out of 100 that are behaving like this. But you discover that anything negative has attract wider publicity than the negative.
The positive.
The positive. So you discover that as we are talking now, a man is buying a car for his wife. A man is outside parking his car outside, is waiting for his wife to finish her work so that he will join him, and he will stay in that car for the next 1 hour waiting for her. A man is trekking from one point to another point, all in the name of his family, his wife, and like that. A man is putting his life at risk because of his wife and children. All these are positive side of men. I believe that almost anybody that is a man, right from your family, when you are a single man, you have been taught one thing, that your wife, she's part of you, she's part of your life. And you discover that when the interaction start, you discover that you can't do without her. You can imagine, to some extent, is some element of devil. Otherwise, the woman that you guys stay together, you have this bond, the bond that eventually lead to growth in the family. Suddenly, you now turn her to your punching bag. How are you going to even stay with her? You slap her, she will cry. The next thing, you are coming to sleep with her. How is it possible for you? That is the thing.
Well, the United States government has accused some of the security agencies in Nigeria, including the military, police, and the Department of State Services (DSS), of impunity fueled by corruption and the weak judiciary. The American government said it has documented evidence of significant human rights abuses by the security agents, arbitrary killings, and unlawful detention of citizens in harsh prison conditions. It also accused the government of serious restriction on free expression and media, including violence or threat against journalists. The allegations are contained in the U.S. Department of State 2021 country reports on human rights practices published on its website on Tuesday. It further pointed out that general serious government corruption exists almost unchecked. The report claimed cases of unlawful and extrajudicial killings exist in the military and are sometimes covered up by the commanding officers. It added that some of the arrests carried out by the security agencies are political motivated and targeted at perceived political enemies. What are we going to say to these things, Uncle Musti? That the US are coming out and saying that
it's a very serious accusation, very serious and damning accusation.
Yes,
understand? And it will affect Nigeria image at the international community. Don't forget that, look, Nigeria signed bilateral agreement with so many organizations and so many, even UN, on this human right. And human right is very vital. Human right determine a lot of things. Already before now, Amnesty International has been on our case. They will point the accusing finger to say, look, this is what the military is doing. But we here, because of our blind support, we will now call Amnesty International to say, look, stop talking. You understand? But these are agencies, they are international agencies, but their report matters to what happens at the international level, including having military support. Remember, here we don't even as little as AK-47 we don't produce here. The weapons we don't produce, we are relying on international communities, developed countries to get stock our military requirement, of which when you see such a report, it will certainly affect the military operations here. Now, you have a situation whereby the DSS will go after somebody, arrest that person, at the end of the day, after 3, 4, 5 days, 1 month, 2 months in detention, 1 year in detention, they will just release that person, and they will not charge that person to court. They will just release that person, and that person will just go like that. It means that is trampling down on his fundamental human right. You speak out, the next thing DSS is coming to bundle you from your house. You will see soldiers along the road, before you know, they will start beating somebody. There are so many things, it's, although we were like guided by the emotions doesn't count here. Based on the United Nations recommendation, and everyone is presumed innocent, including the so-called bandit that we are seeing. To us here, we assume that because he's a bandit, arrest him, kill him straight, but it's against the international law. What they want you to do is arrest him or her, put him behind bar, let the court determine his fate. But in some instances here, that is not done, including the so-called, it's not just accusation based on the human right alone. The accusations goes beyond that. They even say that, look, due to corruption affects the fight against Boko Haram and the banditry and some other security challenges bedeviling Nigeria today. That is what they are saying. This is a very serious and damning accusation that the military top echelon, they must come out clean and say, look, it's not by mere defense, it's not by mere issuing just press statement. They must go beyond that. They must prove it to say, look, we are not corrupt. If you are not corrupt, why is it that we have a bandit domiciled in a particular location and you cannot go there to say, okay, you are bombing them or you eliminate them? You allow them until they leave for another day to cause havoc, cause a death, cause grief, abduct people. Families will go about looking for money here and there to make sure that they secure the release of their loved ones. These are part of it. We already know, we as Nigerians, we already know that, look, there's some element of corruption and corrupt practices among the military. For instance, when you hear about the military men coming out to say, look, I mean the soldiers at the front, coming out to say, look, we have not been paid our allowance, we have not been like this or like that. That is corruption. The military that should come out clean over this. Coming out clean over this is not by issuing press statement and just allow it to go like that. Yes, America here, they have their embassy here. In their embassy, they have a military attaché. They have everything that you think about, that they monitor the activities, what is happening here, including what is happening in the military, what is happening in the police, what is happening in the DSS. So this accusation should be seen as a wake-up call by the authorities here and the military, instead of taking it the other way around.
Well, thank you so much, Uncle Musti Lala, for that. Thank you everyone for staying with us on News Wrap Up. I am Dayo Olujumo Ekuni. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all our social media handles. Thank you. Bye.